The Necromancer's lifeless body lies on the muddy ground, his face twisted into a terrible grimace of death. He was an old man, but still commanded vast power. Krill had underestimated the toughness of his former master. Perhaps the old man's continuous exposure to dark magic had strengthened him. The Necromancer had been ferociously powerful, and cold, very cold, like the undead. The poison Krill had bought from the swamp witch finally brought his master to his knees, though he had thought it wouldn't be enough. As his former mentor had writhed in pain and gasped for breath, clinging to life by a thread, he had cursed the witch for her shoddy poison. He was glad it had worked, for it saved him the trouble of exacting revenge against the hag. The old fool has drawn his last breath, and now it is time to move on, Krill thought to himself. He viciously kicked the old man's body until it rolled into the fetid swamp waters. Krill had to off his master. The man had no ambition. In fact, outside his knowledge in dark magic, the old man had nothing of value. Krill had learned all he could from him, and simply no longer needed him. What he needed was power. Lots of power. He relaxed his grip on his knife, ready in hand in case the poison hadn't worked. Krill quickly made his way to his old master's cabin in the middle of Shadow Marsh. He searched the cabin thoroughly, but there was nothing worth taking. The old man hadn't possessed any gold. Krill gathered some food and headed for the nearest settlement he knew, Mistmill. Krill was making good time traveling confidently through the swamp when a small band of swamp goblins spotted him. There was no way to escape, as the goblins were advancing on him, and they knew the swamp better than Krill could ever hope to. The goblins reached Krill quickly. The nearest one spoke.
"News travel fast in swamps, boy. We wait for you."
"What do you want, goblin?"
"You kill old man. You're right. But me want the things."
"You will get nothing. Run away while you still can."
"No, I kill you,"
yelled the goblin as he and his gang drew closer.
What do you require?
The fallen shall rise once more.
Oh.
Your unholy orders, my liege.
What do you require?
My newest plaything
Stands for.
You'll be back before you know it.
My newest plaything.
Your soul is mine.
Our vile army shall be legendary.
What do you require?
Yes, stands for.
You'll be back before
You're
you
worth
know it.
more dead than alive. The fallen shall rise once
Your
more.
unholy order,
My newest
you're
plaything.
worth more
You'll
death
be back
before you know it.
Yes, dance for me. You'll be back before you know it, my newest plaything.
The poor creatures didn't stand a chance. They thought Krill was merely another traveler. Krill was no ordinary man. He was a necromancer. As a last goblin tried to escape Krill's dark powers, the necromancer drained his soul with a mere wave of his hand. The greenskin's lifeless husk collapsed to the ground. Though he had defeated these greenskins with ease, Krill knew that the next group might be more dangerous. He had learned well from his old master, and he knew how to remedy this problem. Krill would secure a party to serve him. The shadow marshes were full of death. Many villagers and nobles would enter the marshes, never to be heard from again. They would either drown or meet their end at the hands of the goblins prowling the swamp. Krill knew where to look for corpses. His master had taught him how to find bodies and raise them as undead servants. After an hour, Krill had been able to locate the remains of some drowned men. He started the ritual to begin forming his undead troop. Krill couldn't understand why humans would want to live in the shadow marshes, but Mistmill was a human settlement set deep in the swamps. The people there fought goblin raids in untenable living conditions year-round. Mistmill was built near Bone River and had several bridges that spanned the murky waters. The only way into the city was to cross one of those bridges, and going through Mistmill was the quickest way out of the shadow marshes. Krill knew his undead troop could never enter the city, but his power was continuing to grow, and he knew they could be easily replaced. His plan was to approach one of the bridges and attempt to bluff his way into the city. He hid his minions in the shadows at dusk in case he needed their assistance. As Krill approached, one of the bridge guards called to him. "Halt! Who are you?" "Greetings to you, noble guards. I am but a humble traveling merchant." "Stop right where you are. Why would a merchant be traveling alone through these doomed swamps? Where are your servants?" "They left me after my wagon collapsed into a muddy rut on the path. But I assure you that I have friends in Mistmill, and they will gladly help me." "You are unfamiliar to me. What is it that you sell?" "Spices and clothes, sir." "Huh. You stink horribly from the swamp, and you claim to have had a wagon filled with clothes and spices? I believe you are lying." "I wouldn't dare, noble god. I speak only the truth." "Then your friends will need to verify that. Guards, get hold of him." fallen shall rise once more. Our vile army shall be legendary. What do you require? Our vile army shall be legendary. Oh. Oh. What do you require? Ah. Oh. Your unholy orders, my liege. Oi. Oh. 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 Creel's undead forces emerged from the shadows and quickly slaughtered the bridge guards. The remaining few begged for mercy, but Creel has no capacity whatsoever for neither compassion nor forgiveness. A battle call sounded in Mistmill, which meant reinforcements were on the way. Creel could hear the soldiers approaching from the distant side of the bridge. Creel knew he couldn't fight the whole city. He had no choice but to retreat back into the swamps. He had barely hidden in the trees when the kingdom's troops reached the end of the bridge. The troops followed the blood trail and signs of combat and spread out into the swamp. Creel managed to survive the next few hours using his knowledge of the swamp. Soldiers were looking everywhere, but by fate, or perhaps sheer dumb luck, they were unable to find the Necromancer's den. Creel waited until dawn before escaping to a safe distance. He realized that he could not pass through Mistmill now, and had to decide what to do next. The next few days were spent wandering around the swamp. Krill's plan to reach the human kingdom territory had failed. The guards at Mistmill were surely on high alert now, and had fortified the guard posts at each entrance. Crossing into the city was no longer an option. Each night, Krill dreamed of power and carnage. He dreamt that he ruled a powerful horde, and that the kingdom's forces fell before him and his awesome power. He didn't know why, but he sensed that his future lied to the north. Although surviving in the swamps was difficult and harsh, Krill was able to find food and shelter. His undead entourage protected him from most of the creatures of the swamp. Still, there were plenty of bloodthirsty enemies lurking in the shadows. Odd noises in the swamp were common, so Krill didn't think much about it when he first heard cracking branches. Now, however, he heard faint voices in the distance, and they were rapidly getting closer to his camp. Krill had just enough time to gather his servants into a circle around him before greenskins emerged from the night, approaching from all directions. The fallen shall rise once more. Some things do get better with age. What do you require? Your unholy orders, my liege. The fallen shall rise once more.
Your unholy orders, my liege. Oh. What do you require? Our vile army shall be legendary. Oh. Oh. Some things do get better with age. Oh. 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 The fallen shall rise once more. Our vile army shall be legendary. What do you require? The fallen shall rise once more. Your unholy orders, my liege. Some things do get better with age. The fallen shall rise once more. Our vile army shall be legendary. What do you require? Your unholy orders, my liege. better with age.